Fantastic.
Annelise, you're calling this...
It's been a while.
It has been a few years. Annelise, you're calling this a completely new beast with the new tactics employed. Tell us why.
I think we must accept that we are in the middle of what I term a cash-in-transit epidemic. I mean, the statistics tell a story of an extraordinary increase in this particular crime. 2014, 180 heists. At the end of last year, 378. And this year, 5 months in, we're already at 111. But I talk also about the fact that this is a mutating crime virus. So it changes and it responds and it adapts. I think the key, the one mutation that we've seen over the last year is this use of explosives. A year ago, this was not really that much of a feature, but it's mutated. It's now become a feature. The Boksburg case that we all are speaking about is also, for me, an interesting mutation. We are now seeing more and more that these cash-in-transit hits, robberies, are not happening on some hidden byway or back road or rural outlying area. These people are becoming more and more brazen. They are hitting vans on highways. They are using explosives. I mean, a year ago it would have been absolutely unbelievable to think that we would have a van being blown up in kind of rush hour traffic on one of the busiest highways in Joburg, as happened last year. And now the Boksburg case for me is very interesting. We can see from that video... Sorry?
You can go ahead, Annelise. We're listening. You're live on air.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were... Okay. So the Boksburg case is extremely interesting because of the way it was executed. We all saw those visuals. We saw it was an incredibly built-up area. There were people and cars everywhere. And the fact that these cash-and-transit criminals think nothing of pulling a robbery of that nature in the middle of a town is extraordinary. I think that's the next mutation we are now starting to see. The absolute increase in the brazenness of this crime.
Annelise, alleged police involvement suspected at this point. No big surprise, though.
No, it isn't. In your earlier intro, you spoke about the fact that police were behind it. I think that's pushing it a bit. What my investigation and my research has found is that police are involved. So I wouldn't say police are behind it, but police are certainly involved. I analyzed 10 big heists over the last 20 years, and in only 3 of those heists were there no police involvement. In 7 of those heists, and we're talking of hundreds of millions of rands that were stolen, police were very involved. We are talking about police ferrying the weapons to the site, helping to get the robbers and the money away from the site. There was one big case in Pinetown where there were 11 policemen from one police station who were running a heist, who were planning it and executing it. And then the most recent case in 2014, the most recent case I write about anyway, there was a very big cash-in-transit heist in Witbank where 104 million rand was stolen from a cash centre. So slightly different, but it's still what we would call a cash-in-transit heist. 104 million rand stolen. The master brain of that heist was a serving police officer in Emalahleni. In fact, he was one of the first responders on the scene the day after the heist was found to have happened. He was there taking statements, being part of the investigation, and he was in fact the master brain.
Annelise, after all your research and so much of focus on this book when it comes to cash-in-transit heists, what steps do you think, or what specific strategies does the SAPS have to employ to reduce robberies of this nature and, of course, increase the arrests and convictions?
I think we must look to the past to understand what we need to do now. In 2006, we hit the absolute zenith of cash in transit heists. There were more than 460 in that year. And then in the years following that, there was an incredibly sharp drop. And the reason that happened was there was a huge collaboration. There was a crisis like we have now. And then there was incredibly good collaboration between the police and the cash in transit companies. There was a combined effort. They pooled their resources, they pooled their intelligence, which is a very important thing. And they went after these guys in a big way. They put big time, police officers on this, people with experience, people who know how to do this stuff. And it dropped dramatically. So I think the answer for us looking to the future is maybe we need to look into the past and see where it actually did work.
Annelise Burgess, veteran journalist and author of HEIST, a book that focuses on trends and patterns of cash in transit heists in the country right now, joining us from our Bishu studios. Thank you so much for your time on the SABC News Desk.